Yeah.
Okay, so what we're doing now is this is actually going to be a longer video. You can just cuddle up on the couch and watch this one. But the first thing I want to demonstrate is just how to open this lid. We had a mechanical opener, but it was so cumbersome and ugly, I took it back off and brought it back. So you can always buy one. They're a couple $100 if you want one, but I don't like them. They're unsightly. So it's very simple. You just open it up like this. You can do it with one person if you're inside. Then you flip it up like this, and you just pull the bottom out, and you are done. I think that's easier than a mechanical one. So what I'm going to show you now is something with the chemicals. So there's a lot of different ways of doing the chemicals, and you can research it, but I'm just going to tell you how I do it. Okay, so the first thing in general I'd want to say is that I'm using chlorine as the basic element of purification. Not purification, but sterilization of the water. There's three things that are going on actually. If you see these bubbles coming up right here, you can see these bubbles in the middle. There's an ozone generator that creates ozone gas that's pushed into the water, and ozone is a natural decontaminant. What's the word? I'll think of the word. Then I mentioned before there is a silver impregnated filter that's in underneath of the main filter down here, which I showed you in the other video. That's the second line of attack against any kind of contaminants, biological contaminants, whether it be viruses or bacteria. Then the third way is through a chemical that's in the water, i.e. either bromine or chlorine. You can go to bromine. It's a little bit easier on your skin, etc., but it's more expensive and it deteriorates more quickly. Now, here's the deal. I don't want to have active chemicals in this. This is my personal philosophy. You can do it whatever way you want. But my personal philosophy is I don't want any active chemicals in this water. And what I mean by active chemicals is chlorine that's actually in the chlorine form. I want to have a pure water, i.e. no biological contaminants, but I don't want to have active chlorine in there. And so the way that I do that is I put about 4 tablespoons of chlorine right out of the bottle, make sure it has no soap in it, after every use, or once a day, let's say. And once a day, maybe about 4 tablespoons, and then run the clean cycle. And I put that in after I go in, not before. What that does is it brings the chlorine level up to about 2 parts per million. Up to about 2 parts per million. You can go 4, 6 tablespoons is fine. So bring it up to 2 parts per million, but that 2 parts per million is very quickly going to degenerate. In other words, it's going to take care of any biological contaminants in there. It'll actually eat up some of the what do you call it? Organic material. The organic material that's in there, like bits of skin and so on, like microscopic bits. And it's going to dissipate. So if you actually check the water before you go in 12 hours later, let's say, it's going to have 0 chlorine in it, meaning that the chlorine's already been used to do its job. You have clean water, you have sterile water, but you don't actually have any active chlorine in it, because I don't want to have active chlorine. I want to put chlorine on my skin. Now you can do it lots of other ways. You can have one of these bobbers. You can buy one of these deals that you're going to put either chlorine or bromine tablets into that floats around the water. The thing is that if you keep up, this is really important, if you keep up and you switch out that silver filter that's in there, that yellow one, I'm going to get you the name of that filter, but if you look it up on Pool Geek, you'll find it very quickly. A silver filter. It's the metal silver, which is a antiviral, antibacterial. You only have to keep this water, even if you did keep chlorine in it, active chlorine in it all the time, you're only going to have to keep this water to 1 or maybe 2 parts per million at the most. I would say 1 part per million. But if you don't have that silver filter, the recommendation is you go up to about 4 parts per million, which is starting to get to the point where you can almost smell the chlorine. I hate smelling chlorine. I don't like it. I feel like I'm swimming in chemicals. So I don't have, if I got in this pool, if you check this water right now, which I'll do, you're going to find there's no active chlorine in it, yet it's sterile. So now remember, we just filled this pool up. It's clean water. It's Jackson water that having gone through a filter, having to get rid of the junk, the organics and stuff that it's picking up in the Jackson water. So I'm going to take my tester, and here is my tester. And I'm going to do what it says, which is this is an Aquatech, it's AquaCheck, so you have to get one for chlorine. You're going to dip it in the water very quickly, wait 15 seconds, boom, finished, and you're going to check it. You're going to find out that the total hardness is much, much, much too low. It's right on there. Why is that? It's because this water came out of Jackson, distribution, and it has no calcium in it. Calcium is important for two things: for your skin and also for the health of the pool itself. You need calcium in it in order to the pool needs, the spa needs calcium. That's just part of the deal. That's why it's on here. I can't exactly tell you why, but it's harsh. If the hardness is really low, it's harsh actually on the surface itself, and you can have some, if you never use calcium, eventually the inside surface is going to deteriorate. So the second one is your chlorine, and it has 0. According to the color thing, it has 0. 0, 0, 0. Alkalinity is actually, I'm really surprised, usually it's going to start low. It's almost enough. It's in the okay to low range alkalinity. The next one is pH, and the pH is on the low side. So we have 0 chlorine, we have a low, extremely low hardness, which is calcium, and then we have a slightly low alkalinity and low, just barely low pH. So we are going to start with calcium, and get my scoop here. Now I hope you can still hear me while I do this, but I'm going to turn this thing on, and hopefully you'll still hear me. And here's my calcium. I happen to know from experience how much I need, because I've done this before. So I'm going to start off with about, probably about 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We'll start with 12 scoops. Now, my next one is here is my pH increaser. And we remember from here that my pH was low. My low, just a little bit low. So I know from experience that if it's low, just a little bit low, I'm going to go ahead and put in, these are tablespoons, so I'm going to put in 3 tablespoons. 1, 2, and 3. Now, 1, 2, and 3, and that was my pH, and my alkalinity was slightly low. So let's see now. Here is my alkalinity increaser. So I got a big bag of it, and I'm going to put just 1 scoop of that in. Now, that's it. So that's not it for the video. But this needs to kind of be in there for 24 hours before you check it again, because it kind of adjusts over time. It's like, for example, the calcium, which is the little pellets, it takes a little while to dissolve and all that. So you don't want to go back in and check it right away, because it's not going to be an accurate reading. So the last thing is, we covered the bleach, which I'm putting in about, like I said, 4 to 6 tablespoons. once a day after I use it. Okay, so and you can do it a different way if you want. The other thing is your shock. So here is a shock, and when I buy this stuff, I buy it for pools, not for spas, because when you buy it for a pool, you're buying a larger quantity, but it costs you like a quarter as much per volume. So here's my shock. You have to be really careful with the shock. It's really, really caustic or corrosive. But once a week, I'm going to take this as my shock here, and I'm going to leave it here for you. I'm going to leave all this stuff here for you. But what this does is it dissolves any kind of organics that are in the water. So organics means your skin. When you're in this, whether you notice it or not, you're going to lose a good amount of skin, which is, as you know, an organic material. You don't want that organic material. You don't want organic material in here, because organic material, as Andrea, as you know, or especially as you know, organic material is what any kind of bacteria is going to feed on. So if you have almost no organic material in the water, the chances of there being an infestation of bacteria or an increase of bacteria is much smaller, because they have no food, right? So once a week, I'm going to put in about 4 tablespoons once a week, and you're going to you don't want to get in it for about at least 6 hours after you put that in, because you want that what do they call it? The
spa shock
to be eating up the organics that are in the pool, not eating you up, of the skin that you have on your body. So, and it completely becomes, again, it's active, right, while it's working on that stuff that's in there, and then it becomes inactive. So I want to get in this water when there's no active chemicals. So both the bleach is going to be completely depleted. It's going to be changing from a chlorine, which is an active chemical, to a chloramine, which is a non-active chemical. And this stuff, I don't even know exactly what it is, but it is an oxidizer that basically oxidizes any organic material. So in addition to that, as I said before, make sure to clean out that filter in there once a week, even if you're only using it 3 or 4 times, because organic material is going to be caught up, i.e. skin, is going to be caught up in that filter, and you want to wash that out so that when you put the shock in, or when you put the bleach in, it's going to be working on cleansing the water and not using all of its energy or its motivation working on a bunch of clogged up, a filter that's clogged up with a bunch of organic material. Does that make sense? So I know that sounds complicated, but a spa, thankfully, is small. Don't ever put a pool in your yard, because you're going to be doing what I'm talking about on a huge scale, dumping massive amounts of chemical in, costing yourself a lot of money. But that's basically it. It's not that bad of a deal. I would check the water once a week. I would check the water once a week, and then I would that's all right. So I would check the water once a week with your little dip thing, and then make the adjustments you need, and then your pool water, your spa water is just going to be right on the money all the time. It's not that big of a deal. We're talking, cumulatively probably 10 minutes or 12 minutes of work every week, so it's not that big of a deal. If you change your water out every 3 months, put a new silver filter in, it's going to be immaculate. So anyways, hope that was informative. God bless y'all.